Did you just say mic check Amber? Is that what you said? Hey. Sorry. Testing 1 2 1 2. Amber is here at the Greenville County Detention Center where this man is. And say that one more time. Hold, please. Let me put you on speaker while I... Okay, what'd you say? Oh, that's why the volume was all the way down.
Can you turn your mic down?
Got it. I will turn my mic down. Okay. That should be so much better. And so should my IFB, because I had my IFB all the way down.
Hey, mic check 1 2 3 4 5. Mic check 1 2 3 4 5. Yep.
The 10 o'clock news starts right now on Fox Carolina, the local station.
Then we just started hearing cursing and then later a gunshot.
Breaking news on the middle school shooting in Colorado. An 18-year-old student has died, 7 others are recovering, and 2 suspects are in custody. How this terrifying attack unfolded. 3 friends involved in a horrific crash in Greenville County. Now the teenage driver is charged with felony DUI. A controversial bill signed into law in Georgia banning abortion. Once doctors hear a heartbeat, but opponents vow to fight it. And it's an anti-aging trend nicknamed the vampire facial. We're asking the experts what you need to know.
Good evening, I'm Cody Alcorn.
And I'm Diana Watson.
We begin with breaking news here locally tonight out of Boiling Springs in Spartanburg County. That is where the SWAT team right now is moving in on a barricaded person along Old Furnace Road. Now, if you're living there, you're probably wondering what in the world is happening. Sources have told us this stems from a shooting at a home there. The sheriff's office has not told us anything regarding what led up to this, but again, a source of mine tells us this started as a shooting on Old Furnace Road in Dinah. We're told that suspect is barricaded inside that home.
Now, we can tell you the reason you're not seeing a whole lot of activity in this particular live look right here is because we have been told to turn our camera away from where much of the activity is happening so as not to give away what SWAT team members and other tactical officers are doing out there on scene. We do know that they have surrounded a home out there, Old Furnace Road area of Boiling Springs. We have heard from many of you who live in that area. You can see that flash of blue lights there in the distance, just reflecting off that man's shirt there. But as we continue to follow the very latest live from this scene out here, of course, we will continue to bring that to you here on air and online. That's local. We also have another huge breaking news story out of Colorado tonight. That is where an 18-year-old student is dead. 7 others are hurt in a school shooting. You can see those emotional moments outside that school. Students hugging each other after shots rang out. This is a STEM school, so a school for science and technology and math. The sheriff there says 2 suspects who are also students are in custody tonight.
Meantime, parents in the Denver suburb filled with an all too familiar feeling of dread, filing into a nearby rec center, waiting to find out if their child was one of those victims.
It's the worst phone call or text message that you could ever get, and you just hope and pray. And I'm very happy to have my daughter, and I'm, praying for all the other families in this school.
Families not so lucky tonight. The STEM school is in Highlands Ranch and has students in kindergarten through 12th grade. It's about 30 minutes south of Denver and 15 minutes away from Columbine High School, the site of the 1999 massacre.
Now, all of this unfolded this afternoon as the sheriff's office got the call of shots fired inside the school just before 2 o'clock local time. The sheriff says deputies were on scene within a couple of minutes. They engaged with the gunman. The undersheriff spoke to reporters saying that quick response saved lives today.
I do know there were a number of shots fired as officers were arriving at the school. They could still hear gunshots, and as they were entering the school.
I have to believe that the quick response of the officers that got inside that school helped save lives. We're very early on in this.
So here's what's happening tonight. Police are searching those 2 students' homes and their cars for evidence. Again, both are students. One is an adult, the other is a juvenile. Their names have not been released. The victims' names have not been released either. And again, tonight, the sheriff confirming an 18-year-old student has died. There will not be any more news conferences tonight. We're told the first one will be at 6 a.m. local time there in Denver. And of course, the morning news will be carrying that story live on the air. So join them starting at 4:30 in the morning. Of course, we'll have continuing coverage here tonight through 11:30 and at foxcarolina.com.
A developing story here tonight. An upstate community remembering a teen. This teen killed in an early morning crash. Just 18 years old. Her name, Dayton Sellers. Troopers say she was the passenger in a car that crashed along Latimer Mill Road just before 3 o'clock this morning.
Dayton's friend is now charged with felony DUI. This is a look at the 17-year-old by the name of Savannah Hutchinson as she faced a bond court judge earlier this evening. Troopers say Hutchinson was driving drunk when she ran her car off the roadway down an embankment before it flipped, partially throwing her friend out the car and ultimately killing her.
And tonight, Dayton's friends tell us they are simply devastated by this loss. 2
families are going to be torn apart here. Fox Carolina's Brooklyn Cromer is in the studio tonight. Brooklyn, I can't even imagine what these families are going through. You talked to people who knew Dayton. What are they saying about this teenager?
Well, her death has really hit the Honeypath community hard, and so many people there really struggling with this loss. And I'll talk to one of her friends earlier. She says Dayton lit up every room she walked into, and other friends say she was loyal and the type of person they could always count on, and a friend that went out of her way to always help everyone else. 3 friends with their entire lives ahead of them. Now, one of them gone.
It's just a heartbreaking situation.
A small community heartbroken after an early morning crash claimed the life of 18-year-old Dayton Sellers.
She had just turned 18 possibly a month ago. I mean, no mother should ever have to endure the loss of their own child, and I do feel really bad for her and her family.
Troopers say Dayton was one of 3 teens inside a car driven by 17-year-old Savannah Hutchinson. Highway Patrol says Hutchinson's car ran off the road and flipped down an embankment, killing Dayton and injuring another friend, Kayla Cooley. Hutchinson in bond court just hours after the crash, charged with felony DUI.
I feel bad for the friend she was with. I hate they have to go through it and endure the loss of a friend of theirs.
Seth White works with Dayton's mom at Charlie's Quick Stop in Honeypath. He says she called and delivered the tragic news.
She was just, very upset. I mean, granted, it was kind of hard to understand, lots of tears, but I can't wait to just see her just so I can bring her in and wrap my arms around her. She's one of the last people that deserves any of this.
White says the entire community is reeling over the loss, and right now they're trying to come together for Dayton's family.
It's a sad situation. Everybody's sending love their way, lots of prayers. It's a huge eye-opener. No one should drink and drive, and based off the situation that has happened, I think we can all agree that it's best that you find a ride.
Now, a judge set Hutchinson's bond at $15,000 earlier today, and she's not allowed to drive and required to wear an ankle bracelet that monitors if she's had alcohol in her system. Now, as for the other friend injured in the crash, she was released from the hospital this afternoon, and we're told she's at home recovering from her injuries. Cody and Diana, back to you.
Brooklyn, thanks so much. Looking at our forecast, we had a great start to the week, but things will soon be changing. We're talking about rain returning to our forecast.
Yeah, those pop-up showers in the afternoon and even heavier rain as we head toward the weekend, which is not what we want, Kendra.
No, not at all. It's a trend that we're getting a little tired of after last weekend's rain Saturday and Sunday. A good chunk of the afternoon was wet for us, and we're looking at that going into Mother's Day weekend as well. Now tonight, things are pretty quiet. Just a few spotty light showers around the mountains, one just north of Spartanburg. No thunderstorms or anything like that. And any of that rain is just going to be fizzling out as we go into the overnight. So we'll start dry with a few clouds around the area. Temperatures in the low 60s for the upstate, making it to around 80 with a 20% chance of rain. So yeah, Wednesday's not our big rain day, that's for sure. About a 30% chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm in western North Carolina. But the trend will be for more rain toward the weekend. So isolated storms Wednesday into Thursday. Your mornings should be dry. Just keep your eye to the sky into the afternoon. And then a higher coverage of rain Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's all as a cold front moves in. I'll show you the latest on our long-range model so you can start planning ahead for all that stuff you're going to do outside with Mom this weekend. But of course, you'll want to check in on the morning news from 4:30 to 9 for the latest on that rain chance, because we're really hoping that that front can move along. If it can push a little farther east, it'll take the rain chances with it. But right now, it's just trying to sit over the area for the entire weekend, and that just means pretty good chance of storms.
All right, Kendall, keep checking back in with you. Well, new details here tonight at 10. A Simpsonville man is dead. Another locked up, accused of killing him. This is a look at Michael Barber. The coroner says he was gunned down in the driveway of a home near Pelzer in broad daylight.
And the Greenville County Sheriff's Office arrested this man, 48-year-old Dean Barry. He's charged with murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. Now, he appeared before a judge today with the family of the victim in the courtroom, hoping that they wouldn't let him out.
The reason behind the shooting is still unclear. The Sheriff's Office has not released a motive.
And Fox Carolina's Amber Worthy is on this story live at the Law Enforcement Center with what happened in court today and also the family's reaction. Amber?
Yes, the family is relieved that the judge decided to hold Dean Barry with no bond after he was accused and charged with shooting and killing Michael Barber. We spoke with a family friend who says she was friends with Michael Barber for 30 great years, and she is saddened by losing him.
I just wanted to be here at this bond hearing to make sure that they didn't give him a bond and let him out. His family's very upset, and his sister is devastated.
A devastated family filed into a Greenville County courthouse Tuesday after deputies say Michael Barber was shot in the head Monday night by Dean Barry. Deputies say Barry called them to the scene along Kings County Lane to report that he had just shot another person. They have charged this man with his murder. A family friend of the victim, Christy Beasley, says this is a hard pill to swallow.
He's been my best friend since the second grade. It was a lot to handle, but he had the biggest heart in the world, and he just didn't deserve to die.
Officials say they learned through their investigation that Barry and Barber knew each other, but the motive behind the shooting is still being investigated. Barry is charged with murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. Barber's friend says she is cherishing the memories of such a long friendship.
You don't have friends for 30 years these days. So I was happy to be here on his behalf as well.
We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates as it develops. Reporting live in Greenville, I'm Amber Worthy for Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.
One of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country signed in Georgia. What the governor says about the heartbeat bill. Plus,
everybody loved him. I just don't understand why this happened.
Emotional moments like that in Gaffney tonight. A man remembered outside his mom's house days after being gunned down, and we're there for a vigil in his honor.
And the Spartanburg County SWAT team on the scene of a barricaded man on Old Furnace Road in Boiling Springs. Sources tell us this all stems from a shooting. We are working to get some answers from the sheriff's office. Stay with us for continuing coverage on this breaking news out of Spartanburg County. Welcome back, all new at 10. It's been a very emotional evening for family and friends of Jerry Lee Scoff Jr. You can see this picture, which they shared of him with us. He was shot in front of his mother's home on Friday night. The person deputies say is responsible for that shooting, Deontay Willis. He's been arrested and charged with murder. The victim's friends and family held a candlelight vigil in front of the mother's home where that shooting took place, and dozens showed up for it. And really a heartbreaking case here. Investigators say the shooting stemmed from a negative relationship between the two.
And Fox Carolina's Jarvis Robertson was there at that vigil tonight. He's live in Gaffney with emotional memories from the family, and I can see some of that vigil continuing behind you.
Yeah, that's right, guys. This vigil did start at 7:30 this evening, and you can see the family. They decided to come out and gather around this cross to show support in memory of their loved one, Jerry Lee Scoff. You can see here this cross that was built by someone in the family. It was definitely heartbreaking to be here, but they choose to remember their loved one.
Awful. We still look at the door, waiting on him to pull up and come in.
Family and friends gathered around this cross to remember Jerry Lee Scoff Jr., killed in front of his mother's home Friday night. I spoke to his sister. Through pain and heartbreak, she says Lee was a person that spread joy.
Funny, outgoing. If you had a bad day, he'd make you laugh.
And now a piece of her life destroyed. And deputies say it was all by this guy, Deontay Willis.
The only brother I had. He was my hero.
Cherokee County Sheriff Steve Mueller says Willis has been charged with murder, saying he had been involved in verbal fights with the victim before. But now 3 girls left with only memories of their father.
He loved him with everything in him. And he'll always be there watching them.
Founders of Put Down the Guns, Now Young People, and Unite the Fight organization were at tonight's vigil. They say there's a lack of respect for life in the community.
One of the main problems in the community is violence. And violence, one of the biggest sources of violence is lack of love.
The Scout family has been left with tears, sorrow, and confusion.
Everybody loved him. I just don't understand why this happened.
Now, that funeral is scheduled for tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It's going to take place at Blakely Funeral Home here in Gaffney. The family tells me, again, starts at 2, and they will be receiving friends starting at 1 o'clock. Reporting live in Gaffney tonight, I'm Jarvis Robertson, Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.
Jarvis, thanks so much for that live report tonight. Well, parents have filed a lawsuit against a Greer daycare after an incident in February. Parents accuse a daycare worker at Classy Kids on Brushy Creek Road of shoving their child's head into the ground earlier this year. Greer police charged Belinda Owusu with cruelty to children after the incident. Well, these are the causes of action listed in a lawsuit filed April 25th. Liability for negligence and recklessness, negligent hiring and negligent supervision, breach of contract, and South Carolina Unfair Trade Practice Act violation. Now, here is a look at the lawsuit filed. Included in the background, it reads, quote, in addition to the damages caused by the negligent hiring and supervision and the injury to the minor child, the defendants caused the plaintiffs to sustain additional damages by lying about the incident, crafting a false report, and prolonging the stress and strain associated with dealing with the situation and with an injured child. We've reached out to Classy Kids for comment, but they haven't issued a statement at this time.
Well, we have a look at the markets tonight after a rough day on Wall Street. The Dow taking a deep dive this afternoon, losing 472 points to close the day at 25,966. The Nasdaq also taking a steep drop of 159 points to end the day at 7,963. Experts say today's fall is likely due to fears of a trade war as the U.S. continues negotiations with China.
All right, now we want to bring in Kendra and talk about this forecast. And included in the 7-day forecast, of course, we have Mother's Day coming up on Sunday, and chances of rain are going up.
Yeah, you might want to grab your umbrella if you're taking mom out on Sunday, Kendra.
Yeah, especially in the afternoon. Mornings aren't looking so bad, and as we go into tonight, it should be mostly dry. You could see a brief shower in some spots. Just north of Spartanburg, we have a little sprinkle. Otherwise, it's dry in the upstate. 62 for an overnight low. Temps will drop into the upper 50s for western North Carolina. Watch out for areas of fog, especially since there's so much moisture around. It's kind of humid feeling outside. We'll see that fog develop toward the morning. Tomorrow, just about a 20 to 30% chance of rain. So if you need to get out and do some mowing, do it early, because the afternoon there's that chance that a storm could pop up over you. Here's a look, in fact, toward the evening, and notice in the upstate, very isolated rain, while we'll see a little bit more in the mountains. As we fast forward into Thursday, notice we start dry with some clouds, and then a little better rain chance is going to arrive from the west. This is the system that's going to come in and park itself over us over the next several days, and that's going to lead to that good chance of rain for the weekend. You can always head to foxcarolina.com for your interactive radar anytime as those rain chances go up, as well as download the Fox Carolina News app. This is a good way to stay ahead of any weather warnings that could be issued. Doesn't look like a big severe weather threat, luckily, within the next several days, but can't rule out a strong thunderstorm. We'll track this batch of rain and how it's going to affect us as we go through the weekend coming up, guys.
All right, Kendra, we'll see you then. Well, Georgia's heartbeat bill signed into law. Why the governor says he put his signature on one of the strongest abortion bans in the country.
Plus, this stolen ring found and returned. What Greenville police did to get it back to a man just in time for his anniversary.
And our crew's on scene of what appeared to be a barricaded person inside a home on Old Furnace Road, but our photographer there says SWAT has moved out. Sources say this all started from a shooting, so it's likely now the investigation is just getting underway. As we learn more, we'll have continuing coverage here through 11:30. You're watching the 10 o'clock news.
average prices we collected today were anywhere from between $300 to $600.
Welcome back. A controversial abortion bill in Georgia has officially been signed into law.
Yeah, the Life Act, known by many as the heartbeat bill, outlaws most abortions once doctors detect a fetal heartbeat. Right now, people in Georgia can have an abortion up to their 20th week of pregnancy. This new law says abortions would be banned once the heartbeat is detected, which is around 6 weeks after conception.
Georgia is a state that values life. We protect the innocent. We champion the vulnerable. We stand up and speak for those who are unable to speak for themselves.
I have one message for Governor Kemp. We will see you, sir, in court.
Some Hollywood names have threatened to boycott Georgia's growing film industry over the law. The ACLU says it's preparing a court challenge to the measure. The bill goes into effect January 1st next year.
Well, several other southern states have either passed or are considering similar bills. In South Carolina, the House passed a heartbeat bill on April 24th. The Senate is considering the bill, but it's not expected to pass. The Kentucky governor signed a heartbeat bill at the beginning of March, but it has been temporarily blocked by a federal judge. Both the Mississippi and Ohio governors have signed heartbeat bills as well. In Louisiana, the bill is working its way through Congress. A similar bill passed in Tennessee's House, but failed in the Senate. Well, it is graduation season, but for some USC upstate families, it's also a time to remember those who can't be there. How two students who lost their lives this year were honored. Plus,
it involves removing blood and then putting blood back in. Now, that's fine, but you have to do that under sterile conditions.
Okay, do you want to look younger? We know facials are popular, but just wait until you hear about one that sounds more like something out of a horror movie. Is it the answer to a better complexion? We'll tell you about vampire facials ahead.
And we are live along Old Furnace Road, where sources tell us this all started as a shooting and led to a standoff with a suspect. We are still waiting to hear from the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office about exactly what has unfolded there in Boiling Springs. But we are there asking questions, and as we learn more, we'll pass it along here through 11:30.
Closed captioning sponsored by Bojangles. It's Bo time.
Believe it or not, one dentist I spoke with says microneedling started with dentistry.
She says they saw such rapid healing with oral surgeries, and that same technique is used in vampire facials before you bleed too much for beauty. Hey Nick, how are you? I am good. Ready to talk about facials. Yeah, it's not what you think though. That's my tease for you. Yep.
We are back with breaking news. We continue to follow it out of Spartanburg County, where it appears Old Furnace Road is closed in that area near Blaylock Road after what appeared to be a standoff following what sources tell us was a shooting here. But again, right now we cannot confirm really anything from the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office. They have not given us any information about what has transpired. Most of our information is coming from sources, but again, they tell us there was a shooting on Old Furnace Road and that the suspect barricaded himself inside a home. SWAT was out there, but they have since left, and now it seems like a very active scene with deputies out there.
That's right. Of course, this is something we'll stay on top of. We'll continue to be there as deputies are on scene, and we'll bring you the very latest through 11:30 tonight, and also on social media overnight and on the morning news.
We're going to lighten it up a little bit because you may have heard of an anti-aging trend. It's called the vampire facial. It's a technique that uses your own blood to supposedly turn back the clock. Sounds like a miracle. It made headlines after officials say 2 people walked away, though, with HIV in New Mexico. It's important we point out that practice was not licensed. That's very important here, folks. We've ventured around Greenville to see if it's actually done here in the upstate and what you need to know about the facts versus the trends.
And Fox Carolena's Shale Ramin spoke to the experts. Shale, I'm sure there was a lot to learn. What is this vampire facial all about?
Well, believe it or not, Diane, I spoke with a dentist here in Five Forks who says microneedling started in dentistry. She says they saw such rapid healing with oral surgeries first, and now that same technique is used in vampire facials. But she says before you bleed too much for beauty, there's a few things that you should know about.
Blood is beauty. At least that's how it appears with one anti-aging treatment circulating as the vampire facial.
It involves removing blood and then putting blood back in. Now, that's fine, but you have to do that under sterile conditions.
An establishment that didn't follow those rules? An unlicensed New Mexico spa where officials say 2 people walked away with glowing skin. but also HIV. So we asked experts who offer similar procedures here about how it works.
So vampire facelift is one particular doctor who came up with a technique where he's mixing in Juvederm into the PRP and injecting into the face, and only doctors, dentists, nurses that have taken his particular course can advertise vampire facelift.
But Dr. Hapney says while they're very similar, there's a difference between PRP, what she practices, and the vampire facial, a trend gaining popularity since celebrities like Kim Kardashian posted bloody pictures like this.
So PRP is platelet-rich plasma, which is basically you draw blood out of your arm typically, we spin it in a centrifuge, we separate out the red and the white blood cells.
And then Dr. Hapney says they inject the plasma back into the patient's face. She says experts use the same technique for a vampire facial, but they also add fillers.
I personally don't like to mix the dermal fillers in with the PRP because there's studies that show that there's more risk for migration. So if you put the liquid blood underneath the skin and you mix it with the Juvederm, there's more risk that the Juvederm could go somewhere you don't want it to go.
Pairing dentistry with her medical spa, she says it's important to find a credible source and to make sure the microneedle is always a one-time use.
These are medical procedures. They require training and experience. So, picking somebody, even if it's a benign procedure, your life is in their hands.
If I make them look better and I make them feel better and I make them proud, there's a lot of personal satisfaction with that. And that's something my team, we take a lot of pride in.
Now, these facials help, we're told, with acne, scarring, texture, wrinkles, and more. And doctors say if you're interested in these types of facials, you want to make sure that you do not trust Google or Facebook reviews. You need to hear it from referrals or check out their business reviews. Cody and Diana.
So, Sheil, just in case someone's interested in getting one of these anti-aging treatments, so money-wise, how much is this going to set you back?
Well, it really depends on where you go and if you add fillers. But everybody we spoke to today, as far as their business goes, they'll charge anywhere from about $300 to $600. We're live tonight in Five Forks. Sheil Vermeer, Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.
Sheil, thanks so much. Well, new tonight, USC Upstate held their graduation ceremony today. And as students celebrated this major milestone in their lives, they also took some time today to remember two of their own who couldn't be there.
Two students died over the last year. Their degrees were given posthumously to their families today. Now, the first was Jordan Buchilian. He was killed in October after his car was hit by a truck along I-85 in Spartanburg County. The other student was Evan Gaines. He was shot back on March 26th at Campus Edge Apartments just outside of campus. He later died at the hospital, and we talked to his family about what it meant to receive his degree.
Evan was the type of person who always took his academics seriously. So to be here for him is not a problem. It's real special to be here for him. He really didn't deserve what happened to him. But I'm going to miss him.
So far, no one has been charged in Evan's murder. If you have any information about this case, you should call the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC. We're covering our counties here at 10. We're learning new details about a standoff in Greenwood that led to one person being arrested. This was breaking news here last night at 10 and 11. So Greenwood police say a guy called 911 saying that he had hostages and he was going to put harm on law enforcement, basically. Well, when they showed up, they actually called the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office SWAT team in to help them get this guy out of the Avondale Road home. Well, they successfully did that. They brought him into custody safely, and he was then taken to a hospital and then on to jail. And here is a look at that suspect, identified as Emerson Barnes, and he's got some charges tonight. We're talking unlawful use of 911, threatening the life of a public official, and something happened at the hospital because he also got disturbing a hospital charge slapped on those as well.
Some road repairs to talk about in Henderson County finally coming to an end. The North Carolina DOT says all lanes of I-40 in Henderson County will reopen tomorrow morning. The DOT's been repairing a stretch of interstate near the Harmon Den exit since February after a landslide blocked the road with debris. Cleanup and repairs included removing more than 10,000 tons of rocks and dirt, installing rock anchors, hanging wire mesh, building a retaining wall at a cost of more than $2 million. Crews spent the last couple of weeks preparing to reopen the road, pouring a new concrete median and resurfacing this stretch of highway. Well, today marks World Asthma Day, and upstate doctors came together to teach the public about that condition.
The Allergic Disease and Asthma Center held a World Asthma Day event, inviting families to stop by for some fun, fair activities. The center offered free asthma screening for kids while teaching parents about how to spot and treat it.
We want to make sure that they are diagnosed and treated early. For parents, actually, we want to make sure that if their children are diagnosed with asthma, that they need to know what are those triggers and avoid them.
Now, symptoms of asthma can vary, ranging from mild coughing to severe coughing spells. The doctor you just heard from says kids could have a tight feeling in their chest, like someone is sitting on it. If your child does exhibit any of these symptoms, it's best to consult a doctor.